So to kickstart this, let's start with the risks that we're going to be looking at AI. Let's not go to the dystopian future. AI is going to take over the world and we're going to be thrown out. Let's not get there. Let's talk about what we are seeing as risk within the next 5 to 10 years, and share your perspectives on that. Let's start with you, Nathan.
Yeah, sure. AI is. It's clearly it's a very powerful technology tool, but it's developed by humans. So if you think about it, it's probably the most since the first evolution of fire, right? So, and it's the biggest evolution since then. That if done properly, if done improperly, if you touch fire, you get burned, right? So it's very important that from a risk perspective, this world is filled with all different types of people, and I think we've got great people, smart people, great values, but we have the exact opposite of that as well. And if it's utilized improperly, it's dangerous, right? So it's very important to have proper risk in governance, in compliance, if you will, hence the topic, to make sure that it's managed properly and trained the right ways and utilized, effectively. So that's the biggest on a high level risk factor that I would say.
That makes sense. But do you have any thoughts specific to data risks or risks that are more practically what we are looking at on a daily basis? Because I think your business also deals with a lot of data, huge amounts of data to be able to provide the insights to people. So what are your thoughts on things specific to data-related risks out here?
Yeah. So I run a project, Chart AI, that we fully integrate artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence, it's trained, right? So it's trained, and so you train it to do and maximize the efficiency and the knowledge for the output in which you are looking for to maximize it, right? And I think talking about a risk factor, I don't know, the way in which we use it is very minimal risk, right? So the way in which you could use it maybe in the business world or the finance, and really a lot of markets that hold very critical information and critical tasks, I think it's very, very important to make sure that you have proper training, proper compliance within the organization to make sure that it is utilized and trained properly and effectively to have the proper output. I mean, because without doing that, clearly I don't need to speak of what the risks are. It's quite obvious, right? So I think it's just a matter of being able to use it responsibly to maximize the output.
Perfect. Alex, I'd like to hear your thoughts because of your background on where you come from. I think your perspective is very different from everyone else here. So curious to hear that.
Well, actually, yeah, I would refer here to the European Union discussion. As you well know, they enacted the new legislation maybe 2 months ago about AI Act. Basically, they saw three main risks. First risk is data governance. Second risk is, let's say, data structure, because the thing is, in order to implement AI, you should have properly prepared data. Otherwise, all this machine learning, all this deep learning is, well, it's useless. And the third one is algorithm bias, where algorithms, after analyzing of a certain amount of statistics, start making prediction based on the statistics. And even if something changed, then there will be no new outputs. We can talk about this, for example, in HR and recruitment. I analyzed 1,000 CVs, and afterwards, even if I will add 2, 3 more, which will be good, the algorithm will just deny them. And that's why they classified, for example, recruitment AI as a high risk, and the EBA, European Banking Authority, issued even consultative paper about implementation of AI into the reporting model, into the credit risk assessment. And basically, they see the same risks. So if your data is structured poorly, then AI will be useless for you, and moreover, it will lead to certain mistakes. However, I'm not totally agree on that, honestly, because if we talk about regulatory algorithm bias, okay, if a person is doing the job, he will be the subjective as well. He will have the same bias. Like implemented AI is not increasing any risk of any activities. So, and the same, for everything except this data structure. That's a challenge we faced in our company, for example, when we started implementing AI. That before you do AI, you need to have first properly organized Google tables, which you can actually upload. So it starts with small, and if you have a proper strategy, I don't think that any risks are too high.
I think I might want to deep dive on that later when we speak about governance as well, because the history is written by the winners, and the data has always been biased. And there are certain cultures more communicative than the other, which has always made the information online subjective to one side or the other. And now, as the AI is using all of this information, it's not really a truth that it's working with. It's working with the data that's fed to it. And the data corporations that are providing this data are the ones that are curating this data, or again, located in specific regions or coming with a specific backing from a venture capital perspective, or with what they represent. And all of that poses a certain type of risk in how it shapes the future perception of what the world sees, until and unless the governance, in my perspective, plays a crucial role to bring that decentralization to it, which is the ethos and philosophy that we in blockchain world hold. And if that can impact it in some way or other to make sure that the data is contributed, validated throughout, I think it could lead to, it's almost like saying if a flight is diverted by a small degree, and then by the end of the flight path, it's going to land in a completely different continent, right? I think it's very similar there, and I think that's something that we'll touch base sooner. Jamie, let's go with you. Your branding is just perfect, man.
Oh, you like the pink? So yeah, the biggest thing is, like I said before, not taking risks is the biggest risk. I see so many people terrified of making mistakes. And I don't know if it's because we got trained in that, like in school, but I dropped out of high school in grade 10 because I was just ready to take risks and make mistakes. And that's how you learn, and that's how you adapt and evolve. And so, especially in the investing game, it's like if you're not constantly testing things and putting real money on the line and taking risks, I mean, then you got your money sitting in the bank making 0.01%, and they're multiplying it. So when it comes to using AI, I mean, I see it in our operations where our COO, Will, he really jumped on ChatGPT like immediately when it came out. And next thing you know, he was doing the output of 10 employees that weren't using it. And so what do you think happened to them pretty quick? Like they're not with us anymore. And Will just moved to Dubai with us and got promoted, So yeah, like not staying on ahead of things and using the technology is only going to bite you in the ass. It reminds me of I grew up. My mom's in the crowd, by the way. Everyone say hi to Tina. Say hi, Mom. Anyway, she moved us down from Canada, where I was born, to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, which was this little fishing village at the time, 25 years ago. And it reminds me of just the basic technology so there was fishermen, and you'd need 10 fishermen to catch 10 fish, for example. And then someone came along and they had a fishing net. And next thing you know, that one guy was catching the same amount of fish as the 10 fishermen. Well, what do you think happened to the guy with the net? He got promoted and everyone else lost their job. But the abundance that came from it, everyone in the village still got the same amount of fish. So the moral of the story is, be the guy that finds the net and take the risk and use it. So to be honest with you, I'd have to call the law team of like how to, the compliance and all that. I don't pay attention to that. I make the moves. I take the risk, and we figure it out along the way.
Perfect. Anton.
So I think if we talk about risk, we have a risk with AI, but for next 5, 10 years, we don't know what will be in 10 years, because last 2, 3 years after presentation in ChatGPT, it was revolution about create content about everything. So create Telegram bots, websites, everything. Look at that. You can ask ChatGPT about something. It's very perfect answer and very professional. And it's just 2, 3 years. What will in next 5 years? It will be crazy. I think so. But so I think AI will help us with control and maybe smart home and control cars. It's will be not too much mistakes, people mistakes, human mistakes. So, but we have a risk. Yeah, I think so. But I really don't know what is the risk. But I think we have. But so for me, ChatGPT help it every day. It's great. I can write something, asking something. So about yesterday, I asked, okay, I need Telegram bot about post something, blah 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 blah. Very fast answer, and it's amazing. It's really amazing. So last year, I know in US was strike actor and about scanning face. It was problem because you don't need actor. You scan one time and use it everywhere. TV commercial, movie, TV serials, and actor was very angry about this one. And 2, 3 years, oh my God, we'll see. Thank you.
Do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I'd like to build on that. Just so you know, the thing with risk management with AI, to manage the risk, the risk can't be managed by the government, right? I mean, it's not black and white, and the government is black and white, right? The risk really needs to be managed by the community as it continues to evolve, especially in the in the early years from where we are. So I think, and I just kind of wanted to, I thought I'd point that out in my thought in that respect. That it really, as it continues to get adopted, to that risk management really needs to be, that's where the governance and the compliance comes into play, right? So the community as a whole really needs to manage that risk.
That part makes sense, and I think compliance will play a role in my perspective to force certain aspects of it. But end of the day, right now the technology is at a point where individuals have the right to choose whether they're going to be part of something or not. So let's do that. Let's talk about the compliance aspect. Do you want to jump in on the compliance part, maybe to share what you think is going to be the next steps on the compliance, to set some rules, set some guidelines, to make sure that things don't go beyond a danger zone?
Well, actually, this process already started. So many regulators created these AI sandboxes where you can try to safely apply AI to all your processes. They have some experimental project where you start preparation of regulatory reports using AI. And by the way, they're doing it the same because, when we're talking about regulators, actually, if you're on the perspective of one company and you have X amount of data, but imagine regulator oversee over 100 companies like yourself. And the amount of data in the regulators it's vast. It's much more than within one company. So actually they're interested in applying AI even more than us right now. In terms of risk management, well, there's like a certain framework of application of all new technologies. So let's say yesterday I had one ERP, now I implemented second ERP. What's the core difference of implementing AI here? Well, I don't think there is, because it's just a new technology which will substantially help us. But the framework, the data governance framework, and the implementation framework is almost the same. So I don't see huge issues here, and I don't see any necessity in some new measures. Actually, I think we already have all the framework necessary to ensure that we use AI safely.
I think that's a good perspective there because there are strong data frameworks in place. I think that does govern a great part of how AI is going to be used. That makes sense. Jamie, do you want to jump in on this?
Yeah, well, when we talk about data, of course, I've been in the AI trading for almost 10 years, about 10 years, and we're constantly looking at past performance, but we're also always knowing that you can't guarantee the future with any of the past data. You know, and it reminds me of the story of Mr. Bannerston that ran the 4-minute mile when no one else ever broke the 4-minute mile. It was impossible. If you looked at all the data, it was impossible. No one had ever done it before. And then Bannister does it, and now everyone believes that it's possible, and we got hundreds and now probably thousands of people that have done it. So it's really just about, of course, I mean, I don't pay much attention on analyzing the data, but we do look at the data. We do consider the past performance. But at the end of the day, it just goes back to your willingness to take that risk. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is getting over that fear program that just has you concerned and terrified about taking risk. And I have my mentor in the crowd here next to Mom. That's Don Smith. So he's helped me with my. Everyone give applause for that guy, actually. He's the reason I'm wearing pink, and he's the reason I'm operating at such a high level of consciousness. The last 4 years, I've only focused on that with him. And at first, I would have never imagined how that would it totally change my investing game and my entrepreneur journey. But of course it did, because I got over all my fear and bullshit, all my limitations that I was putting on myself, right? So it was a detour that I thought at the time, and now I know it's like, okay, wow, I'm operating at this super high level because of that now. So thank you to Don Smith.
That's amazing. I think I want to jump straight to the governance aspect of things. You touched upon it a little more in the previous answer that people would start governing themselves, and that's a better way than compliance force top down. Can you elaborate more on that? How do you see the governance go from ground up between businesses that are already functioning, among people, among communities, among those who hoard data right now? How do you see the governance actually operate? What are the modalities or functionalities through which this is brought into a level playing field?
Yeah, so I think that the big thing that as humans we're programmed to make decisions on emotion, and there's a lot of pros and cons to that, right? With emotion comes creativity. With creativity comes innovation, and AI lacks. It's a sensitive topic talking about AI and emotion, right? Everybody's kind of got their own viewpoints on that. But, my belief is that AI lacks emotion, right? And where it lacks emotion, it lacks creativity. And it deals with, kind of the factual data. And there's two benefit for that. When we talk about, for example, Jamie, trading, right? Trading with AI, and it's smart because when you trade with emotion, fear of missing out or greed, and all the different emotions that come along with trading, you more often than not you get wrecked, right? And so when you trade with AI, for example, that's what makes Chart AI and our technology, our first mover technology, so powerful, is it takes the emotion out of it and gives you the factual raw data to be able to make educated decisions without emotion. Forgive me for going a little off the reservation on that one, but I think, like I said, I mean, just from the emotional standpoint, is a really interesting topic when it comes to AI, because us as humans, like I said, it kind of we're training the direction in which AI goes, and the algorithm, if you will, so that the emotion and creativity and innovation, really kind of all go in line with that.
I think that's a very good point there. Do you want to add something to the governance aspect? I think this governance aspect to me is, I think among all the three, the most important one, because you can do whatever you do with the risks and the compliance aspect, but if the governance is not something that we all agree on, that we are all part of, it's going to be worse. And I think Jamie brought about the point of how people are in a fishing village. Everybody got the same amount of fish, right? That's where the universal basal income comes into play. So now the number of people who have to work towards a particular objective could be lesser, but then everybody is becoming a winner because they're producing the data on the other side, and all of that ties back to the governance. If the governance is screwed up, that whole system breaks. And I don't think compliance by itself can force top down telling, okay, this is exactly how you can do it. It's way bigger right now. It's not just the legal structures and large companies, but there are so many smaller companies, and whatever is happening there is beyond necessarily the purview of how they can regulate. The world is not just in EU or under MiCA or all those places, right? The world is across board, and most of the population is outside of those zones where it's highly regulated. And if the majority of the population are the ones producing the data, how does the governance play a role? So share any thoughts on that, please.
Actually, this is a question I think that exists as long as humanity exists. Every revolution, technology revolution, I don't know, digital revolution, actually very few people benefit from that, and most of the world population, around maybe 70%, they, as you rightfully told, that they're out of the scope of the innovation, and that's really unfortunate, and that requires, well, I don't know, certain international measures. But as I mentioned, it's never actually been done. So yes, there are a lot of risks from the AI, because there will be, the percentage of inequality will be even higher. But that happens with all the new scientific inventions, unfortunately. So I think AI might actually help us to combat this. So we can talk about this with ChatGPT.
Yeah, yeah. I think, one of the risks that a lot of people fear is being replaced by AI. And, again, going back to emotions, I mean, as people get into their comfort zone, and I think it's important for people to just really embrace it and learn to pivot. Pivot, because people are going to lose jobs, but at the same time, a lot of jobs are going to be created. So it's important that you pivot, be open-minded to learn and train on a new skill set, because it opens up a lot of opportunity at the same time. I mean, as an AI company ourselves, without AI, it wouldn't have created 23 jobs, right? So it's just a matter of stepping out of your comfort zone, embracing it, and being open-minded to learning new technology.
And you're replacing a lot of technical analysts around the world, and they're all out of jobs, few thousands of them, right? That makes sense. So guys, as we are coming to the close, I think it's pretty interesting perspectives that we have seen here. And I believe AI and what AI is doing there, you can use it for greater good, and there will be risks, and that can be mitigated with proper measures. But more importantly, the value always changes. When you talk about the world pre-internet, people were sitting with their papers and trying to create all of those and working in a very hard way. Computers did not wipe half the people of the world's working population. In fact, it increased it, because humans are good at one thing: creating problems to solve. We create more problems, and then we bring in more people to solve it. So with every action that we're taking, we're widening the scope of the quality of life that we have, making things simple for us, but that also opens up more newer areas of opportunities, more newer areas to deal with, to figure out. So it's same as someone who is starting to learn something new. The more they learn, the more they understand that they need to learn a lot more. And it just drives them towards that whole rabbit hole of trying to discover more and more. And that's the same thing with AI. AI removes a lot of our time that's wasted in trying to figure things out, and that opens us up to more creative side, to think more, to do more, and to reach higher goals and objectives. We have a couple minutes left. If there are any closing statements from any one of you, that will be amazing to hear. But I'm super thrilled for the future because we can see some amazing companies on this panel who are using AI to make things that has taken people ages, many hours, or probably decades of learning to something that's as simple as click of a button. And that opens up thousands of new people or millions of people in the world to free them up the time and energy to do a lot of other things. Yes, please.
Yeah, so now I know I've plugged Chart AI a few times. We're actually I'm speaking up here on a keynote at 2:30, but with AI, our technology solves a need for hundreds of millions of traders around the world, and so I would encourage if you've got any time to come back and listen and kind of walk you through a little bit more, and you can kind of wrap your head around it. But like I said, in the end, embrace it, be open-minded, and pivot. Be responsible with it.
Makes sense. Any other closing thoughts? Yes, Jimmy.
Yeah, I'll touch on the AI and the governments real quick. So the AI trading, like I said, I've been in it a long time, and one of the major reasons why I got on, obviously it was for financial freedom for myself, but as soon as I saw that it was duplicatable to everyone, it was like, holy shit, this can be the net for everyone. And I sent it out to all my friends and family, and of course we had a lot of trial and error. 99% of the algorithms don't work, or they shift when the market does. If you don't work with a developer directly, he's not going to be able to shift it when the market does. So you need to make sure that if you're using an algorithm, it's something that's getting constantly updated, and you're working with the developer on that. So to give you an example, we were passing prop firm challenges. Prop firms went crazy in 2020, and last year, or the year before, sorry, I got a hold of it, and I was like, man, it would be really cool if we could pass a prop firm challenge with an algorithm. And sure enough, figured it out, passed the challenge, helped about 10 other family and friends do it. Next thing you know, within 3 months, we had 3,000 clients that we passed every single prop firm challenge for, and we exposed the industry as a whole because, come to find out, they didn't have enough money to be able to pay out all of our clients. But just on the governments real quick, I see the time's up. Having a solution-oriented mindset is super important. Have a global perspective on the governance. There's so many places that will work with you. You don't have to be stuck in the same box of whatever your country is or whatever. There's solutions. So just take risks and find the solutions. They're always one.
Thank you so much, everyone. We had a very optimistic panel, and if the whole world is this optimistic, I think we'll make a lot of progress without friction. Thank you so much, everyone, and find us all on LinkedIn. Connect with us if you have further questions. Thank you.